Coming up, Myanmar Tzu Chi volunteers carry out relief work for flood victims in Bago Province. In Taiwan, we look at the traditional calculation methods many Taiwanese grew up learning. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. First up in Myanmar, at the end of October, Tanggu City in Bago Province experienced torrential rain, causing the worst flooding in the region in 30 years. To help Yangon Tzu Chi volunteers arrived to carry out a disaster assessment and were able to right away hand out relief items with help from the military and members of the public. In all, 1,001 households received help. With soldiers helping guide the way, Tzu Chi volunteers from Yangon arrived at Tanggun City in Bago Province to help with what residents are calling the worst flooding in the past 30 years. Though having traveled some 240 kilometers and arriving past midnight, come sunrise, volunteers make their way to the affected villages, wading through water for 1.5 hours before arriving at the riverbank. Finally getting on small boats just past midday, volunteers arrive at the villages only to find residents still living in temporary shelters and without food to eat. Upon seeing the arrival of the Tzu Chi volunteers, the village head takes out a name list of 1,001 households all devastated by the flood.
The military came to distribute hot meals. What we need the most now are daily necessities like clothes, rice, and medication.
Tzu Chi is the only charity organization to have visited these residents, and volunteers promised to return with aid supplies. Luckily, volunteers came across many kind-hearted people, such as a hotel owner who helped purchase rice and teachers and students who volunteered to pack the relief items. Aid supplies included rice, beans, cooking oil and other daily necessities, were then transported to the disaster areas by soldiers. The next day, volunteers returned to the village where residents are already waiting to welcome their arrival. This is the first time after the flooding that the atmosphere has lightened up in the village.
We've never received so many aid supplies before. I'm so happy that I don't feel hungry anymore.
Besides aid supplies, volunteers also organized a free clinic for residents.
We don't have money to visit a doctor. When we are in pain, we just buy painkillers.
In the 3 villages that were most devastated by the flooding, Tzu Chi volunteers are seen on site reaching out with helping hands.
Seeing you all coming from so far, I am deeply moved.
Tzu Chi volunteers hope with the help from the general public and the military to deliver all relief items into the hands of the villagers before sunset. Moving to China, prior to the upcoming winter aid distribution, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived at Jinjiang City in Fujian Province to visit care recipients. Among the recipients was Yang Tong, who after the volunteers' visit has regained her smile. Let's take a look.
Walking to care recipient Wang Caiyun's home, today China Tzu Chi volunteers are visiting care recipients in Jinjiang City. Upon arriving at Wang's home, the woman asked the volunteers to also pay a visit to her mother-in-law, who insists on living by herself. Worrying about the senior's safety, the volunteers encourage senior Yang to remain positive. This is 33-year-old Huang Shili, who lost the ability to speak following a high fever. Knowing that the volunteers are coming, Xu Shouye happily greets them at the door. Xu says her granddaughter was taken away by her son-in-law, and she has never heard from them since. This is 11-year-old Wang Quanwei, who can't go to school because of his physical illness.
His hands and legs are weak and he can't control them. I have to feed him 3 meals a day.
Despite his physical illness, Wang is still optimistic. Thanks to volunteers' visit, care recipients' hearts are filled with warmth and happiness.
Next, we meet Darling Tzu Chi Hospital resident physician Dr. Su Kai-wen, who has learned to cherish the beauty of life through his patients. Apart from his work, Su always makes time to interact with his patients and has found a sense of accomplishment through their smiles.
今年定期follow那 liver cancer 假设真的发生其实也都小小颗的，假设不能 OP， 那还可以塞还可以做 radio frequency ablation。
Unlike other professions, the work pressures of the medical practice, which includes needing to understand the basic mechanisms of diseases, knowing the names of illnesses and medication, and continual patient follow-ups, make the profession a stressful one. However, Su Kai-wen still chose to enter this field.
This profession can help many relieve their bodily and emotional pain.
It is with this belief that Shi became a medical professional, and from patient Grandpa Chu, she gained a deeper insight into the essence of medicine, and that is to not only treat patients' illnesses, but also their hearts. And it was thanks to Shi's love and support that Grandpa Chu found hope to fight his illness.
Everybody has already gone home, and yet he still comes to visit me. He has given me so much comfort and so much encouragement. I'm truly so grateful to him.
The more suffering he saw, the more Shi wanted to do something about it. He would often drive for 2 to 3 hours just to provide checkups for patients. While this may seem to be inefficient, Shi in fact found happiness within.
I want to, at the onset of an illness, or even before it has become an illness, to inform patients how they can protect themselves. This will help delay the interim and terminal stages of their illness and will give them better quality of life.
With the burden that comes from holding the lives of patients in their hands, fewer people are willing to wear the white coat nowadays. But for Shi, while wearing the white coat brings immense pressure, it's also a blessing in disguise.
我觉得对现在的我来说，白袍是一个媒介。
For me, the white coat is a medium. When I put this coat on, patients and their families entrust their faith in me, and they are willing to do what I tell them to help improve their quality of life.
Although the road to actualizing your dreams may be one filled with challenges, for Su Kai-wen, his aspiration and dream of helping others has already become a reality.
Taiwan is a tropical island that produces fresh and delicious fruits and vegetables all year round. Over the years, the country has built a reputation for itself with its produce and farming techniques. It is also an environment that has attracted many foreigners from abroad to come observe and learn. Among them is Charles Albert Linton from the Commonwealth of Dominica, who arrived here 13 years ago and was the first foreigner in Taiwan to obtain a PhD in agriculture.
Food crop in Taiwan. In English, we call it taro. In Chinese, they call it yu tao. In Taiwanese, I think they say oa, right? The taro is sweeter in Taiwan. Okay, so we have some snacks.
Charles Albert Linton is now a professor at the National Pingdong University of Science and Technology.
你们这里有吗? Okay, 可以一起吃啊.
In today's class, Professor Linton is sharing his love for Taiwan's farm products by giving his students a taste of taro.
This is my first time trying out taro since I arrived in Taiwan. It is quite tasty and sweet.
It's very delicious here. I like it in the cake.
In my country, the Commonwealth of Dominica in the Caribbean, you can see banana trees everywhere.
Though there are banana farms back home, Professor Linton has come to prefer the taste of Taiwan's bananas.
Taiwan's bananas, like everything else, is usually sweeter or bigger, and of course, once it's sweeter, it tastes more delicious, right?
Inside this banana farm, one unlocks a hidden mystery.
Cafe, like these, they are using a sort of intercropping system where they are growing the banana and the coffee at the same time. And to my knowledge, this is also a very good example of an organic.
Having arrived 13 years ago to study agriculture, Charles Albert Linton was amazed by Taiwan's farming techniques and agricultural development.
We see farming as a job after you finish elementary school. But in Taiwan, many farmers have master's degrees and bachelor degrees. So this is the foundation for the strength of Taiwan's agriculture, the knowledge base.
Of the farming population in Taiwan, those with college degrees and above accounts for 21.7%, while those who have completed their senior high school stand at 27.7%, meaning the average level of education in Taiwanese farmers is quite high.
So this is my lab, and this is the laboratory for food biotechnology.
It is here that Charles Albert Linton became the first foreigner to obtain a doctorate degree in agriculture in Taiwan. In his research, the now professor also discovered that cassava offers anti-cancer benefits.
Cassava basically is 100% carbohydrate, so it's a high-energy food. It has high fiber content, high starch content, which also adds to the variety of the product.
Today, Professor Linton leads a team of students in researching and developing food made from cassava, in hopes of reciprocating the warm welcome he has received here in Taiwan.
Taiwan, 我觉得是真的是 Formosa.
I really think that Taiwan, the Formosa, is a treasure island and a beautiful country. Most of my friends will say that I am now a Taiwanese, and it is a great feeling. I don't want to leave Taiwan.
Also in Taiwan, teaching mathematics has always been deeply rooted in rote memorization. If a student follows, copies, and practices the equation just as his teacher taught him, the student will succeed with high marks come examination time. However, is this traditional method still valid? Today we take a look at the traditional calculation methods that many Taiwanese grew up studying with, the abacus and times table.
Walking along the centuries-old DaAi Street in Taipei, one is suddenly taken back in time, where the old ways are still quite active. Shop owner, please calculate this for me. I'd like to fill my prescription.
The click-clacking of the old abacus elicits memories of a time when people did not bury their heads in cell phones. At this 100-year-old Chinese medicine apothecary, the shopkeeper has not given up his old ways despite the added technology at his disposal.
It's not that I don't want to change, it's that I'm just used to it. I have more confidence in the abacus. With calculators, at times you might push the wrong button and you might not realize it.
In fact, even today's students of modern Taiwan are still being taught how to use the abacus. At this tutoring class, the children's fingers move along the table, calculating with an invisible abacus, and quickly tally up the answer. The multiplication table and abacus goes hand in hand here in Taiwan, with children learning how to use both early on in their education. This is something parents and teachers have long relied on for students to build a solid foundation in math skills.
The kids can look at a problem and see the answer right away.
If giving the answer has become an automated response, I don't necessarily think it's bad.
In learning how to add and subtract, eventually these children will have to learn the multiplication table.
Traditional methods would not be passed on to later generations if it was not useful. A professional math tutor for over 25 years, now retired, Chen Lihua, feels that practice and repetition will pay off for students later on and is a firm advocate of the method.
When they substitute in simple equations, students can come up with a solution faster. This type of time-saving method will be more evident when they get to a higher learning materials where the problems are more complex and more steps are needed to reach the solution.
Maybe we are more rich and unyielding, yet in establishing a firm math foundation, we are just as strong as that which is found in the West.
3×4等于多少呢？12，哇，太棒了！
Combining traditional memorization and creative activities, currently, math teachers are coming up with different ways to interest children in the subject.
When I was young, many fellow students thought math was hard. They felt discouraged and no one was there to encourage them or stimulate their interest in it. It is not like that anymore. Even university professors are very active and encouraging.
Statistics show that Taiwanese students remain highly competitive in international math competitions and rankings, and perhaps this is why these traditional methods of teaching have not yet been abandoned.
To help those affected by Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers worldwide have been mobilized in the aftermath of the catastrophe to contribute their love. In Malaysia, staff members of the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter seized time after work to canvass for donations on the streets. Meanwhile, Hualien Tzu Chi hospital staff and medical volunteers held a charity sale to encourage patients and their family members to give a little of their love. But first, let's go to the Philippines, where Manila Tzu Chi volunteers are working around the clock to make donation boxes and posters for their fundraising campaign. Here's more.
At the Manila Jingsi Hall in the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers are busy making donation boxes and posters. To help those affected by Typhoon Haiyan, many kind-hearted people contacted Tzu Chi volunteers, with some even making a trip to their local Tzu Chi chapter to donate.
Many people called out Tzu Chi volunteers, their local Tzu Chi chapter, or even make a trip to their local chapter to donate their love. They know that when there is a disaster, Tzu Chi volunteers will always be there to help. The public has been very supportive. That's why so many people have come to donate.
With 200 donation boxes ready, in the days and weeks ahead, Tzu Chi volunteers will be mobilizing to canvass for donations along the streets. Tzu Chi volunteers hope their gestures can inspire the general public to also work to help their fellow citizens. In the lobby of Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan, medical staff and volunteers are holding a charity sale to help typhoon survivors in the Philippines.
Let's donate our love and help those affected in the Philippines return their lives to normal as soon as possible.
With encouragement from the medical staff, patients and their family members all happily purchase healthy vegetarian meals prepared by the volunteers.
We hope all the typhoon survivors can recover from the disaster as quickly as possible.
The kind gestures of the Taiwanese also touched the heart of one Filipino worker.
I'm so thankful that you're all guys helping Filipinos. From the bottom of our heart, thank you very much.
Meanwhile, in Malaysia, other than praying sincerely for Typhoon Haiyan survivors, staff members at the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter also donated their bamboo coin banks to help. After work, staff members all volunteered their time to canvass for donations at a nearby MRT station, hoping to inspire passers-by to donate their love.
Although the disaster happened in the Philippines, we told members of the public that we all live on this planet, and so everyone should be treated equally. That's why we encourage everyone to donate their love. We collected about 3,300 ringgits this evening. This love will be sent to disaster survivors in the Philippines.
In the Dominican Republic, Tzu Chi regularly holds local volunteer training seminars to nurture volunteers who are new to the charity organization. For the local residents, the Tzu Chi Foundation has become a familiar sight as they often see volunteers come and go on home visitations. Thus, it was no surprise that at this most recent training seminar, several residents expressed willingness to join Tzu Chi's ranks despite coming from a different faith. Let's take a look.
Tzu Chi, Tzu significa compasión y bondad. Chi, ayuda y alivio.
In the Dominican Republic, Tzu Chi volunteers are holding a training seminar for local volunteers in La Romana Province. During the event, local volunteers expressed their gratitude for the presence of Tzu Chi.
God is all-powerful, as He has given us an opportunity to meet each other. We are a group of people giving selflessly to help those in need.
Tzu Chi volunteers' long-term care for this region is widely known to local residents. Many recipients have learned to reciprocate and have realized doing good deeds often means crossing religious boundaries.
I give my thanks to God for introducing me to Tzu Chi. Inside this big family, I have found many brothers and sisters, whether clad in uniform or not, assisting and supporting our communities.
Out of the 20-some participants, 15 were interested in undergoing further training to become a volunteer. It seems that for Tzu Chi, the years of planting seeds of compassion in the Dominican Republic are beginning to bear fruit.
Back to Taiwan, on the offshore island of澎湖, Tzu Chi volunteers held an event at the local Jingsi Hall to celebrate the conclusion of a year-long volunteer training program. Over the past year, the trainees not only gained a better understanding of the Buddhist NGO's philosophy, but also put Tzu Chi's teaching into practice, which have all changed their lives for the better.
Here at the澎湖Jinsi Hall, senior Tzu Chi volunteers joined in a song. Among the trainees is Chu Jinque, who insisted on participating regardless of suffering from cancer.
I just try my best. I will continue to improve on the Bodhisattva path. I will do my best to accomplish whatever Tzu Chi sisters and brothers ask me to do.
Before her chemotherapy session, she told her doctor not to arrange her session on the same day as her volunteer training sessions. Her determination and devotion has already moved me.
As well, a couple has found a way to settle their frequent arguments.
When we have arguments, he would show me Jingsi aphorisms or Buddhist teachings to calm me down. Since we all live in the same neighborhood, just feel free to call him for help if needed.
Following their successful training program, these volunteers are ready to spread Tzu Chi's ideals throughout society.
We go to Malaysia at the end of our show. In the immediate aftermath of Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor contacted all the schools in the region to organize a fundraising campaign. School authorities, teachers and students all responded by giving their love. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.